rebels, rogues, and outlaws. National bestseller by longtime producer Fluette. Take a journey through the victorious culture that celebrates the weak. Show your support by standing with the rebels. Go to doitfluette.com or scan the QR code on your screen.
All it takes is a single spark.
This is your champion.
You don't want to see this up close, skin bag.
Let's go. That way. Feels that charge in here? We're inside the ring. We're safe. No fences. Anyone passes through here? You'll know.
Come on, we should go over here. Attention. First blood. First blood. The chaos begins. Attention. Evo harvesters are online.
That charge in the air? We're inside the ring. We're safe. There's a jump tower here. Just a moment, s'il vous plaît.
Wait, care package over there. Head over here. I'm tired of this place. Wait, care package over there. Spotted a mark here.
We should move here. Fencing position. Planting fences.
Hold on, recharging shield. I'm healing.
That way. Come on.
Attention, the champion has been eliminated.
Champion out? I don't think anyone will miss them.
Saw a target over here.
Target over there. Spotted an enemy there.
We should move here.
Being shot at. Reloading. Ready.
Enemy very close.
Enemy fire.
You thought you had to go easy on me.
It's been now, I don't know, 13 years ago or whatever it's been. And he was the one who ran cover, went out on all the Sunday shows with a lot of the bogus talking points, along with Susan Rice, testified to our committee. So this guy has a long history of using his positions to help, surprisingly, Democrats.
Wow, that's a good one. All right, I want to ask you about that media sizzle that Amanda just played, because none of what happened in the last decade would have happened if the media weren't aided or abetted. So they challenged Clinton or Biden or D-51 letter writers or any of the other things, Jack Smith. We might have had a different outcome in America because media and culture drive a lot. When you hear that reporting and they say no evidence, I swear I've read some evidence in the last few weeks. Am I missing something?
Well, you have to remember, you have to start out with is there is no media. The legacy media in this country is solely owned by the Democratic Party and the left, and they're moving farther and farther to the left. I think in many cases, some economics has driven some of this, where a lot of these news channels are no longer profitable. It's very tough to make it in the news business. And so you had groups like Fusion GPS that got stood up, and you had these kind of alternative fake news developers and seeders. They go out, they develop fake stuff, they seed it, they water it, they grow it, and then they take kind of the media that's left out there. They're like the minions, and they go out and harvest it, and they just regurgitate it over and over and over again. So what you're seeing is a combination of a lot of factors. Basically, it's the collapse of the media companies. That's why I'm always amazed at America's Voice or the other channels that are similar to America's Voice that people claim are right wing or far right. I beg to differ a little bit. I think these are probably some of the only outlets where you can actually get real information. And you have, I think Democrats for the most part, John, they don't go on Real American Voice, at least I'm not aware of it. I think sometimes they have reporters that chase them through the halls of Congress, but they just don't participate. So you have this bifurcated system, one of which is small but mighty.
I don't even know what the fuck
kind of
was
center
that.
right, the people that are on True Social, the ones that we have on Truth Plus, which is our new streaming app. I urge everyone, you can tie it to your True Social account if you want. If you don't have a True Social account, you can go and download it. It's on not only Apple, but the Apple App Store, Android, but also on most televisions. And that's a plug, not just for our company, but really, we built this for you. President Trump, we wanted to build this for people so that they could use it and have access to news, because a lot of times the news channels that we have, you won't find them on your typical cable TV. So you can actually cut the cord. You can watch John and Amanda anywhere you want to go at any time. By the way, it's now global. So anywhere you go, you can watch Truth Plus, and you have access to this news that has been outright banned or shadow banned from these legacy media channels. So that's why it's so bifurcated in this country, with what I would say real news and people trying to get to the news, i.e. you do, John, and just the news every day. And then you have this cabal of jackal's head, people that are being paid under the table, people that are being bought free dinners in order to promote a story. So, John, they're really co-conspiring in this. Now, when I say that, does it mean that they are going to be busted? I doubt it, but they are the recipient of illegal leaks of classified information. Point one, General Flynn. And that was a leak. I originally, came out and said, what the hell is going on here back in early 2017. This is right before all the ICA Russian crap stuff happened. So these are massive leaks. What the hell's going on? Like, why isn't every FBI agent around in Washington, D.C., trying to track down how these leaks of an incoming administration are happening? So they were involved in these illegal leaks of classified information. And in fact, they just continued today. I mean, even recently, just in the Trump administration, you had illegal leaks from the intelligence agencies that were designed to harm President Trump. So therein lies where we sit today. Thankfully, there is a grand jury investigation that has begun, and hopefully, I know that there was a strike force that was stood up by the Department of Justice, and hopefully justice will be served to these criminals. This has been criminal activity. It's been ongoing. If you want to go back all the way to Benghazi, right? I can even take it as far back as that, but for sure against President Trump, it started in late 2015, for sure early 2016. That was what our investigation uncovered, was that it wasn't just the Steele dossier. You may remember, right, John and Amanda, through Lee Smith's reporting. He actually found what we nicknamed, I don't know if there's really a name for them, but they were counter dossiers. And interestingly enough, they weren't tying Trump to Putin, but they were tying Trump to dirty oligarchs around the world. All fake, all nonsense. Once that kind of failed and stumbled, then they turned to weaponizing the FBI and the CIA, as we know, in around March or April of 2016. And it culminates with a raid at Mar-a-Lago. So they were targeting President Trump and have been for a very, very long time.
Congressman, I love John's very Nixon comparison to Nixon, because you look back at that time, and Nixon's own party got to the point where they said, all right, you weaponize intelligence agencies to bolster your claims, and we're out. But Democrats have to believe the evidence before they can even be given the chance to say we're in or out. But because the media keeps telling this narrative that it's not substantiated, disbelieving it, how do we get to the point where Democrats can make an honest assessment of it?
Well, first of all, not to correct John for the second time during the show, but I will, just because I like him so much. But Nixon is not a fair comparison. What Nixon, I would compare Nixon to, a guy who got caught playing a dirty political trick, like a little boy stealing a cookie or something and not telling his parents and not coming, forth with the truth. What these guys are doing is like the Charles Manson of politics and manipulation of intelligence and conspiracy. People have died. People have lost their livelihoods. People have lost their careers. People have not been promoted. Families have been destroyed. Finances have been wiped out. Millions of Americans were kicked off of social media. News networks like Real America's Voice were not allowed onto the legacy media platforms. This damage is far and wide. It's been ongoing for a long time. So Nixon is not even a drop in the bucket to what this kind of 2 or 3 dozen criminals in and around the Clinton operation, the DNC, and Obama's operation, and Biden's operation for that matter, have been doing now for over a decade.
I want to go back to something you said about people dying. No one died because of Russian people. But actually, that same intelligence and not a fake thing. We've lost people in the field because of the Obama and Biden intelligence, right?
Well, not only that, John, it also is I think bigger than that, and it's a point that I had to make. I think I made it a couple weeks ago when I was on your show, and that is this: the time that was taken away from the FBI, the CIA, the Defense Intelligence, not focusing on places like Ukraine and Russia and terrorists around the globe, and whether it be in China for that matter, all of that combined with that not working, not doing their job, or they are working, intelligence, where you're keep holding back great intelligence officers from doing their job. You have the Congress completely, I was running a China investigation for many, many years that got essentially derailed. We kept running that investigation, largely ignored by the fake news media because they were all fixated on the Russia hoax. But think of the lives that have been lost just in Russia-Ukraine. And I say this because I don't believe that Putin invades Ukraine had these fools not went around and made this crazy person out of Putin and basically accused Putin of things that he wasn't doing in 16 and 17 and 18 and all that time frame. That probably made it creative. And I say all that because the fake news that may watch this and probably won't, but if they do, they'll say, oh, he's denying that there's a problem. No, you fools. Go back and look at the record.
You were the
I
first
was
to
one of
warn
the
about it.
only ones that I was feeling the same and writing and going on places like CNN saying that Putin was having his way. It was the largest intelligence failure since 9/11 2001. When did I say that, John? And that ironically, in the spring of 2016, I said that it was the largest intelligence failure since 9/11 for our intelligence agencies. And so bad things lead to bad things, and now you have 1 million people or more. Yes, God, that's a big massive Department of Defense and everywhere else around the world. But the Trump administration, the president has charged me with our oversight board to make sure that we are setting policies in place, that we are running investigations, that will clean up the DOJ, clean up the FBI, clean up the CIA, and get them focused on doing their job so that we can recruit young men and women that ought to go into this and want to serve their country and do it in a way that's honorable. And the only way that this gets fixed, I believe, is if people are held accountable for the nonsense that's been going on and the criminality. I don't say nonsense, that's too nice of a word. The criminals need to be locked up, plain and simple.
One way or the other soon. Congressman, it's always a great honor to have you on. We always learn a lot. Thanks for joining us today. What a great interview.
All right, John. Next time I won't correct you.
It's okay. I liked it. It was fun. All right. Good stuff. All right, folks, we're taking a commercial break. When we come back, big steps, big things to eliminate DEI in the government. Like that, guys. Thanks.
First ever brand mission for America. Changed the course of history and inspired millions. Now, the greatest challenges of our time lie ahead. The vessel will take you behind the scenes through history's greatest turning points. Together. Register now at historyexplorer.com.
How does the world's most trusted dog expert keep his own dogs so healthy?
I am in like 20 years we have been dogs. I see many struggles of problems and know about the training. Then I discovered the Western dog was very good. Fortunately, I found veterinarian Dr. Marty's and the keeper breaking. So much. It's in my dogs within weeks.
Try Dr. Martin's. Warehouse. Overstocked. Last year, our 4-week survival rate was 7,000. Wow, they delivered. But thanks to supply chain delays, everything showed up at once. Now we're on space and doing something we've never done before. Buy one 4-week kit, get one absolutely free. They last 25 years, taste great, and are hand-packed right here in the USA. Go to 4patriots.com. This deal won't last long. It's just like our new house. I hope you have an American ownership warranty. Toilet fixed. Oven beyond repair. If AHS can fix your comfort item, then replace it, no matter its age. Please sign up today at AHS.com. The bathroom of your dreams is only a phone call away with BCI Bath and Shower. We can make your ordinary bath and shower extraordinary. Custom build that will fit your every need and new builds for seniors and military. The Department of Justice made a huge move yesterday to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies in government, ending a race-based hiring decree that was supposed to increase so-called diversity in the workforce. But I'm pretty sure in America we're not supposed to judge people based on the color of their skin. But it seems that the federal government had been doing that, and under the Trump administration, they are finally fixing the situation. So joining us now to talk about that and much more is Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights in the U.S. Department of Justice, Harmeet Dillon. Thanks so much for being here. Great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
How infectious was DEI in the movement before Trump took over, before you took over? People who care about rooting that out, and people who care about someone's character instead of the color of their skin. How bad was it?
Well, given successive laws passed by Congress and bad interpretations of those laws, what we now call DEI has permeated virtually every aspect of our government. Government contracting, government hiring, civil service tests that we're talking about, voting rights issues, and more. And so it has become habitual for certain categories of people in this country to rely on race being used as a proxy for, getting a special leg up. And as many Supreme Court opinions have written, even in the sense that Justice Thomas is notorious for this concept is inconsistent with protection in the Constitution. So we have the Constitution, which is our civil law, as it's at odds with our civil rights laws in this place. So this is where we're seeing a lot of very interesting decisions come to the surface of the Supreme Court.
You mentioned voting rights, and I think your division has been so active and so consequential in the first few months. Wisconsin put on notice it may lose its funding if it doesn't start complying with integrity laws, but the big brouhaha in Texas at the State House, the Democrats have basically absconded, won't do their job. Actually, it's triggered by a letter you sent Texas telling them that some of their districts were illegal. Tell us about that.
Well, yes. So I mentioned that the courts are beginning to percolate these decisions that are striking down portions of the precedents that have, some would say required, but certainly enabled race-based districting. And so one of the flavors of race-based districting that states have tried to do over the years, and tried to do because they've been forced to do by plaintiffs, minority groups, plaintiffs, is that you can combine multiple minority groups or count on a certain white crossover group to a minority group to make what's called a coalition minority district under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And in the Fifth Circuit, which Texas is a part of, there was a recent decision in 2023 that struck down this concept of coalition districts, but left alive what is now being considered by the Supreme Court a sort of like majority minority district. But you have to have a single minority that composes a majority of that district. I know that's a lot, but this is a very convoluted area of the law. So we took a look at Texas, and we found that 4 of their districts in Texas are comprised of these so-called multiple.
Just get your mum's permission to read it, yeah?
Wherever we go, I'm at home in the ring.
Introducing your champion. Move it or die.
The fuck is this? Sharon.
an existential threat that has for minority congressional candidates who get in there and then keep them for years. And some of these districts stretch 200 miles, and they go around multiple counties, and they cross bodies of water, and they violate concepts things to be voted rights laws that have to do with compactness of districts, contiguity of districts, and respect for political subdivisions. For example, the types of lines that are drawn for state legislative districts. The congressional monster districts that look like snakes, and they're really quite ridiculous. And so the Supreme Court is actually going to be taking up this issue in one step further than the analysis I did for that letter. And so it's really a lot of that in the voting rights area.
I was at the White House about an hour ago, and President Trump was asked about this hearing. The question was posed to him: is it worth it for Republicans to win out on this argument in Texas and Republicans get 5 more electoral votes and seats in Congress, or you have these other states, like you said, California, Massachusetts, Illinois, championing up against gerrymandering even more. So how do you reconcile this?
Well, it's a question. I don't know how it's going to shake out, and that's actually not my job in the Civil Rights Division. My job in the Civil Rights Division is nonpartisan. It is to understand and enforce the federal voting rights laws. So Justice Thomas's dissent from the recent punting of a particular case now in the center of attention here, Louisiana versus Calais, really very sharply called to the focus the fact that the court's interpretation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which enables and some would say requires that are relying on outdated concepts of
Just got my ass handed to me.
taxes, yet we're still drawing districts discrimination that has been for decades. And so California, I think, wisely controlling other states over their lines. But the fact is that California is right with majority-minority districts that have been drawn. They're pet little districts for some of the longest running members of Congress. And
Boy, she just goes on, doesn't she?
You're also, of course, affecting the districts around them. And I was talking to a friend about this when Louisiana first passed this type of a district. They were thinking of an unholy alliance between Republicans who wanted, safe districts for themselves, and the sort of civil rights lawyers who wanted safe minority districts. Some would say both have safe districts in that situation, but it's 2025 in America today, and people can get elected on their merit. Nobody is banning people or hindering people because of their race from reaching the polls or from competing for office. And so I think that's really the current concept is, and I think the Supreme Court's going to decide that this term, hopefully, whether Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act any longer permits or certainly requires racial gerrymandering. So Texas is just one example. I can tell you several states have similar problems with their districts, and so we're going to see a lot of this shake out over the coming months.
Will they be getting letters too?
No comment.
I think we know what to watch for. Real quickly, before we let you go, I want to turn to something else because we now know there's an investigation of what happened during the 2016 Russiagate, maybe continuing all the way into 2024. And a lot of time, I think people look at civil liberty and say, "Oh, that's a civil issue. It only happens on the civil side of the court system." But I know you can't comment about the ongoing investigation, but in general, there are instances where depriving someone of their civil liberties is a criminal act, right? It's not just a civil enforcement matter.
Well, exactly, and this again goes back to those Reconstruction era statutes that sought to remedy the vestiges of racism. And we had some terrible incidents in our country's history of law enforcement officials conspiring to deprive African Americans of their civil rights, and that is where some of these laws stem from, but they're broader than that. And so it can be a crime for government officials, either together or in conspiring with non-government officials, to violate people's civil rights. That's also a civil violation. I've actually seen I, government officials may think because nobody ever bothers to enforce these statutes.
This is your champion.
Better lies below.
Not lucky us. We're already inside the thing.
Many senses. The circuit is complete. Mozambique here. G7, I take that back. G7 scout here.
Evo harvesters are now available.
The distance between us is vast. Focus on your maps.
Supplies right here.
No level up would be complete without an upgrade. I believe this upgrade will light the way.
Care package over there.
Look at that.
Bamboozles for the foozles. It's my own word to rhyme.
champion, huh? Bam! There goes a boozle. Something like that. My weapon has been enhanced.
A ring console here. This is based on Packet Tech, you know. Scanning your maps. Opponent over here.
This is the last face you'll ever see.
Let's explore over there. Scanning the area. I'm taking I am falling. Blessing. You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled. You got bamboozled. Give him a shot. You got bamboozled. Man, I'm good. Shots fired. Hold on to me, Tinny. This might take a second.
My coil produces 1.2 million volts.
Introducing your champion.
Bombs away!
Round one.
Enemy landed over here. Can't wait to see them.
1 minute, and the ring's spitting distance. Proud of yourself.
Seconds until ring closure.
Attention. First blood.
First blood? Well, someone's been a rascal. Ring's near with 30 on the clock. Let's move.
You can't escape.
Ring's right there. 10 seconds.
Attention. Evo harvesters are online.
Don't get too